Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 44 of Let's Kung Fu. How's it going, guys? I am your host, Damon Knight, as always. Last night, I had an amazing experience. I got to sit down and talk with the one and only Clutch of MLG and NASL fame, and he was a super awesome guy, and he sat down to answer some questions with me. So we're not going to waste any time. We are just going to jump right into this amazing interview that he was kind enough to do. Alright, so here with me today is the one and only Clutch. How's it going, Clutch?
It's going very well, my friend. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Obviously, you've been spending a lot of time doing MLG and NASL and shows and all kinds of awesome esports events like that.
That's what people know me for. They've seen me on camera for a lot of different events, like you mentioned, MLG, NASL, WCG. I've also done some TV shows, a commercial, and lots of plays. So I've been in front of audiences, either digitally or in person, for a long time.
Other than StarCraft, what is your favorite video game?
Oh, it's quite a loaded question. It's kind of like asking a parent who their favorite child is. StarCraft is definitely on the top shelf when it comes to my favorite games. And not just because of the esports side, but also for the single-player aspect, the universe that it created. I'm very much into the lore. As many people have seen on that lore show that I did, 2 episodes with Kevin Six and Carlino and Lauren Elise. And Blizzard even put it up, the second episode, on their blog, telling people about it, which was a lot of fun to cover the entire story and different characters and the journey that is StarCraft. But other games, Final Fantasy series, up until Final Fantasy 12, I loved pretty much every one. 8 is my favorite, believe it or not. A lot of people really love 7. 7 was great, fantastic psychological depth of the world of Cloud and the characters around him. But to me, 8 was always my favorite because of the amazing emotional steps that Squall, the main character, took, and him actually opening up to Renault at the end and falling in love. Spoilers, guys. Sorry. But it's been out for like over 10 years. Other games, Mass Effect 2 was one of the best games I've ever played. There's just been a lot that I've always held very close to my heart that I've really enjoyed, and that's to name some of them for sure. Most recently, I would say, Mass Effect 2 I mentioned. What are some other ones here? I really liked World of Warcraft when it came out. I played a lot of World of Warcraft up until the end of Wrath of the Lich King, because to me, the story was Arthas, since Warcraft 3. And once Arthas was dead, it was over for me story-wise. I didn't have an emotional investment anymore in the game. So there's been a plethora of different games, man. What I'm playing right now today, I still have, obviously StarCraft installed. Been playing a lot of Dota 2. I've played a lot of League of Legends in the past, so I've been spending some more time with Dota 2. And World of Tanks. I'm really enjoying that game as well.
So I've got to agree and disagree with you a little bit here, personally. Wrath of the Lich King, awesome WoW expansion. Probably the best one there was. The way the cinematics and the story all tied in with all the quests and all of that, all the Arthas stuff was epic and awesome. It was easily one of the best, WoW expansions. But I do have to disagree. I hate
Really?
Fantasy.
Oh, wow.
Could never get into it. Obviously the thing is, 7 even. It's like, oh, you haven't played 7. You haven't played 7. That's the one you have to play. That was the first one I played. I hated Final Fantasy.
Oh, man.
And
wow. Well,
I can tell you why.
Okay, explain it. I want to hear why. I want to hear why.
It so much. It's got all these that's the boss fights. And they have those giant unit animations for the spells that they cast. And it was one of the bosses, I don't remember which one, but I remember that just every time it would attack, it would do the same spell. And I swear, the spell had like a 3-minute long animation video that went along with it. And just this one boss fight, just every time it kept casting the spell over and over and over again. And I swear, this boss fight took like 6 hours just because of this one thing over and over again. And it killed it for me. I could never get back into Final Fantasy after that.
Well, it reminds me of the materia that is used in Knights of the Round. That was a 4 or 5 minute sequence, but it's cool because you would go to the materia and go, "Here we go," and you press the button, just sit back and watch all the damage being dealt for a while, and then you'd come back into the fight. And I missed that turn-based combat a little bit. Square Enix they wanted to say, we're moving away from that. We want to do something else. And 13 to me was a disaster. I didn't really like it at all. And 12 was a little bit different too. And why move away from your strengths? And a lot of people would ask that question. Why move away from your strengths? And they moved away from how to tell a good story too. So Square Enix they took a dive and hit every failure branch in a tree. But I feel they can bounce back a bit here, recognizing that they have made some bad, erroneous choices with art direction, story, and battle mechanics, and hopefully they can turn it around. And hopefully that reincarnation of Final Fantasy XIV will really help them move into the right direction here. The history of Japanese RPGs were so prevalent. I mean, the history of them are so ingrained in so many gamers today our age because they were huge with the PlayStation and the Nintendos. But now with the Western front being able to develop their own RPGs and games like Mass Effect have taken that throne from Japan because there's so much better stories and they are able to capture so much emotional connection with the players that these Japanese RPGs are so dumb. And I don't mean to say that facetiously or meanly, but they're so dumb in a sense of the dialogue is terrible, the story is so sugar-coated with that we watch it and we think, I am not invested at all in what's happening to these characters. They are so one-dimensional. I don't care what's happening. And hopefully Japan can make a bounce back, because if they don't, the Western scene is going to continue to take over when it comes to those type of RPGs.
Yeah, there is this one JRPG that I definitely think you should check out. It's really awesome that I just kind of stumbled across. It was called Enchanted Arms, which is just like the
Enchanted Arms. All right, I'll write that one down.
Ever. Like,
I've two.
And we both just got like super hooked on it. It's hilarious.
There's two on my list that I've yet to play until the next generation consoles come out. One is Lost Odyssey for the Xbox 360, which is by the same, I don't want to say showrunner or director of previous Final Fantasies, but the good Final Fantasies. He was in charge of those ones. And the other one was The Last Story, which is on the Wii, and he was in charge of that one as well. So I need to check those two out soon. After I buy a television, probably I'll be able to play them.
Minor details. Well, I moved into a new apartment, and it's just piece by piece, furniture-wise, and it's on the list of things to get. But I should get a fridge first. Food comes a little bit more important, I think. See, that's
on the list of things to get.
Is for. You just order food in.
No, man. It's amazing how much money you save in a year by packing your own lunch rather than going out all the time. It's awesome, and more healthy.
That's just more minor details.
All right.
So coming back on topic kind of again.
Okay.
What got you interested in esports?
I had known of the scene in Korea for a little while before I got into it. I knew of Brood War, I knew of Boxer, I knew of Savior, I knew of different huge megastars in the scene in Korea through friends of mine that told me about it. I competed in Brood War a little bit in the Seattle area. Nothing too major, just local lands. I didn't really do too hot. It was be overnighters that I would go to internet cafes, and people would be playing Warhammer 40K, and I'd be in the back with a bunch of computers. We would be playing StarCraft, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and if I could do an all-nighter at 12, 13 years old, my parents are cool with it. Why not? And I was competitive as a kid in sports. I played a lot of different sports. I did martial arts for 9 years. I did sparring and would do tournaments there, and I always liked to compete because I felt that I wanted to be the best, and when StarCraft 2 was about to come out, I was super excited for it. I took a week off from work. I did this countdown series on YouTube, and I was so elated when it came out because the game meant so much to me as a kid, not just from the competitive scene and playing it with friends and having LAN parties, but also the story. Jim Raynor, Zeratul, Tassadar, Sarah Kerrigan. These were people that if I struck up a conversation with somebody randomly and we started talking about games and I bring up StarCraft, we'd have this, oh yeah, man, that moment when Jim said he was going to kill Kerrigan, and when Tassadar sacrificed himself, it was kind of like the Star Wars for video game people. And when I saw the trailers for the second one, man, I was so pumped. I was so excited. I was first in line at the GameStop to pick it up, and I almost had tears in my eyes picking up that collector's edition. I went home, installed it, played it, went to sleep for a little bit, continued on and beat it, and then played it again and got all the achievements except two. The two I didn't get was the arcade game points, and the other one was to beat it in 8 hours. But I got every other achievement for Wings of Liberty. In August of that summer, Major League Gaming was hosting the first StarCraft 2 tournament in North America, and I wanted to compete. And I was in line to compete, but some sort of error that I've never seen on my browser before just popped up. And I was like, what is this? Why is it doing this? It must have been the MLG website or the browser or something. So I went and downloaded a different browser to try to order a ticket, and within 26 seconds, all the tickets were sold out. So I wasn't able to compete, but a buddy of mine, his name's Wiggin, was able to get a ticket. So myself, him, and another friend of ours decided, yeah, let's all go. And so we went to Raleigh, North Carolina. At the time, I was living in Virginia, which was about a 3-4 hour drive. We went, I made some videos, did a little video series of what it was like being there, met some key people from MLG. And it was funny because I was looking around trying to find StarCraft players, and there were so many people there for Halo, because Halo was the house that was built by MLG in a way. I mean, Halo was the premier game, and I'm looking at all these kids. I'm like, all right, who here can actually drive? Who has a driver's license? We'll see if there's StarCraft people. We met some older folks. Oh, I mean older. I mean guys in their 30s, and it was actually Lee Chen and Mark who had worked for MLG, and we started talking. They were really nice guys, and we were really excited about the event because these guys were the PC guys for MLG, and they had been doing World of Warcraft for a while, and they were really stoked about having StarCraft there. So we go to the venue, we have fun, and we were able to spectate. My buddy competes. He goes up against Show, and he loses again and loses bracket. He had a couple victories, I think, but we met some key people. And towards the end of it, Lee Chen was talking to us more, and we got his contact information. And so Wiggin and myself sent some messages to him and said, hey, for the next Major League Gaming event, if you need help with something, let us know. Here's my background. I'm going to school for acting. I've been an actor since I was 5. I've done camera work. Here's my YouTube channel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we get contacted from MLG. Wiggin becomes an admin, and I become a cameraman. And so I continue to be a cameraman for all the MLG events through 2010. Then 2011, MLG completely changes their production. Everything has changed, and StarCraft actually gets their own stage. Because when StarCraft first started, they had one bench, and then by the time I was done in 2010, it was packed. We couldn't pack any more people there. It exploded for Major League Gaming in North America. And in 2011, they had to change some things. So they called me and said, hey, we're not going to need you as a cameraman for Dallas in 2011. I was like, dang. And they felt really bad. Listen, we're trying to fit you in somewhere. Do you have skills here? Do you have skills there? I was like, yeah, but not as good as somebody else, in Photoshop. So I wanted the production to be the best that it could. So they didn't hire me on for Dallas. And I was a little bit bummed, but I was busy with some other things as well. And it was a disaster. MLG Dallas 2011 was a disaster, and they apologized for it. They had a lot of issues. So Lee Chen and Mark call me up, and they go, listen, man, we need a lot of help. And we need to know if you can do this. Can you come on as a production assistant for the next event? And I said, you know what, man, I've been involved in production for 20-something years, and I know how to run a good show, be it video games, be it Shakespeare, whatever. Sign me up. I will help you out. And this is not for much money, man. I mean, esports, nobody was making dollar bills, y'all. It just was still chump change almost, but it was nice enough that yes, I'll go do this for a weekend, and yes, I'll miss out a little bit of school. My professors will understand because this is building towards a career. It's actual production, but at the same time, I'm not like, oh yeah, coming home buying cars, So they hired me out to be a production assistant for Columbus of 2011, and this was a really big deal because they were bringing out the Koreans. GSL was coming. They had MMA, Losira, July. Mr. Che was there, and Lee called me up and he said, hey man, I need you to help out with the Koreans because of the culture. They'll listen to a guy, and I need you to help out with production as well. Can you do both? I was like, yeah, man, sure, of course. So I knew a little bit of Korean because I took Taekwondo for 9 years, and everyone there spoke Korean, so I picked up a little bit of it. And when I was at the event, I met with the Koreans and we went out to eat to Max and Irma's, which was just right across the street from the cultural center. And we all ordered burgers. And when the burgers came out, all the Koreans' eyes were big. And they're looking at these plates and this is way too much food for them. They're not used to these portions. And Mr. Che looks at me and he goes, Clutch, this is Michael Jordan size. I am Korean. I cannot eat this. And I told him, it's okay if you can't finish your food here. It's not disrespectful in America. We just have big portions. So I continued in that capacity with them before the show started. When the show started, I was all over the place, man. I was all over the place, fixing stream issues, communicating back and forth between different stages, helping out wherever I could, talking with the Koreans when they had an issue in our broken English, and in their broken English, my broken Korean, and the translating on Google Translate on our phones. We were all over the place. But we had this amazing event. It was like a phoenix rising from the ashes of Dallas was Columbus. And MLG really needed a home run there. They really needed it. And we were able to pull it off. It was great. And we were all done. And we had this huge sigh of relief. And everybody was so grateful that it was a great show. And everybody's like, Clutch, you did great. Thanks, man. It was great to be here. You know, just compliments left and right. Like, it wouldn't be the same without you kind of thing. So it felt like a family then at that point. You know, it felt really, really tight. And we would have the same people there throughout 2011 over and over again. What had happened, though, is our production was getting tighter. People knew what was needed, and so it started to become a smoother machine. So there's less fires I had to put out. But there was this big game that they were adding. This game was League of Legends, and I had played a lot of League of Legends in the past, and I played with Lee Chen and other people, and they asked me, not a lot of people know this, but they asked me, Clutch, will you commentate League of Legends? And I thought about it, and I was like, I would like to. I would love to be in front of the camera because that's what I've been doing for most of my life, is being the entertainer, being on stage. But I decided not to because I thought there was other people out there that could do a better job, and I'd rather they have a shot. And if they're a little bit more established in the community, it'd be better overall. And they agreed as well. And we decided that I would be a production assistant for both League of Legends and StarCraft. That was a weekend. So after the Call of Duty event, they started running League of Legends with the same crew, and I had to tell the crew how to follow the game, where the action was, how the spectator client worked, because they were still adding this stuff in on Riot's side. Riot was still new to this, and there was a lot of issues with the spectator client, with the server, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they had some downtime, and I told the director, his name was Nexi, I said, Nexi, if you need me on camera, I have a suit jacket. So I can wear it if you need me to be on camera, but if not, I'll be behind the scenes. And he kind of gives me the, okay, all right, we'll see. So here comes Saturday. I think it was Saturday. It might have been Sunday. And two teams were playing. One of them was TSM. And the spectator client bugged out, and so nobody could watch the game. But the guys had to play the game. We couldn't wait for the spectator client to adjust itself. We're on a schedule. We had to play. So next he goes, all right, this is your time, Clutch. It's your time to shine. Here you go. Threw on the suit jacket. I wore a button-down shirt and went out there with the microphone, got in front of a camera and said, hey, guys, we apologize for the issues, but here's what's happening. I couldn't give too much information because they could hear me through the speaker. So I said, it's 20 minutes in. These many towers are down. It's still neck and neck. It'd still be anybody's game. And again, apologize for this. We'll get you back in the next game. That's all for now. And went back to the commentators on the desk. And I remember this kid turning to me from the audience and went, wow, that was really epic. And I said, thanks, man. And I went backstage and everybody was like, wow, that was really good. That was really good. Well, League of Legends saw that. The League of Legends guys saw that, and the StarCraft guys got a little bit concerned. And so after that event, the StarCraft guys go, okay, you'll be hosting StarCraft now, so get ready. And so the next event, which was Orlando, they threw me out there, man. I wasn't involved in the production planning at all until the plane landed, and then I found out. Well, I knew kind of that it was going to happen, but officially I found out after the plane landed. I met with some guys like, yes, you will be hosting. You and JP will be switching off, but you're going to be hosting the StarCraft stage. And I remember right when we started that event, there was an issue with BattleNet. And we had to delay. We had to fill time. So one of the producers runs out to me. He just says, is there anybody you can interview? Is there anything you can do right now? And I look around, and I'm in total 100% focus mode. And I see Whitera. And I go, Alexi. I point right at him. I walk to him. I go, hey, would you like to do an interview? He's like, sure, of course. We start up. We're on the commentators at the desk. They throw it out to me. and I go, hey, everybody, this is Clutch. And so I'm standing next to White Raw, and the crowd goes, boom, they explode because everyone loves White Raw. I ask them some questions, and we throw back to the commentators, and I walk backstage, and everybody's like, yes, just clapping, really excited. That's how it's done, Clutch. And we were all super pumped because we knew we were reaching another level in production, man, of having just that quick interviews ready to go, always being on top of what's happening in the bracket area, in the open bracket, and then building a show on the stage. And every event we got better and better and better and tried new ideas and tried different things. So that's how I got involved. That's pretty much the whole story, and that's how people got to know me in a public scene when I became a host for StarCraft. But I was involved behind the scenes for a long time before that had happened. That was a long story, man, but that's how it happened.
So, at most of these events, the hosts or the commentators kind of tend to be up on stage and doing their thing and talking to the crowd, but they're not like super engaging. I saw you, I think it was at Rally this last year, and I remember you were like, it was early in the morning and there was like nobody there. Like it was pretty deserted. And so, you were like out with the 10 or 20 people that were out sitting to watch StarCraft. And like, you were like trying to get everybody pumped up. You were, doing the Gangnam style dance down the aisles, trying to get people with their signs and get them motivated and excited. Why is it that like, clearly you do that. And I think it's a awesome thing to do, helps get the crowd going. But, why don't other hosts do things like that? Why are you so much more comfortable just kind of jumping out there?
Because I'm the best. That's why. Well, people have different styles, and styles fit in different productions. If I'm at a more reserved conference or a presentation about science, I'm not going to come out there and be like, are you guys ready? Get really excited because it's not that type of forum. With a competition, that is already there. The audience wants to be a part of the hype because it translates so good on camera, and everyone wants that emotional connection to the players, to the event, to the story that's happening. That's why coming to these events live is so amazing. There's so much energy there. And when everyone showers too, it smells nice. But when they don't, it's a little crazy. Funny enough, man, when we go to different events, I was sitting next to a friend of mine that's pretty popular in the esports world. I won't mention his name, and I won't mention what event it is, but we were there live, and they had some other people hosting the event. Well, it was not a StarCraft game, it was a different game. And the host was there. She's doing an all right job, but she was just bland. She was excited to be on camera. She performed well what she was saying, but it wasn't very engaging to the audience. The audience really wasn't tuned into her. She just spat the information out, and that was it. And the guy looked at me and he goes, Clutch, why aren't you hosting this? And I said, maybe I'm too expensive, man. That's why. I feel that the audience is there to have a good time. And it's the host's job to control what's happening on stage. And the audience, in a competitive format, are an extension of the emotions of what's happening on stage. When I ask a question to a player and they say something that's maybe controversial or is a little bit of BM towards their opponent, the audience is totally into it, man, because I've already pumped them up about these players. And to me, when you have a crowd that is energetic and ready to go and ready to cheer when you introduce a player, that means so much to the players. Because they're there to perform. Their jobs are on the line if they're going to take home a paycheck or not. For some of them, are on salary, but it's a big deal for them. And for them to feel that type of emotional charge from the crowd, to me, is a big deal. And I want the players to have the best experience possible, and the audience to have the best experience possible. Also, and get kind of dull when you're sitting waiting for matches and watching the same commercials over and over again. So for one of the events, like you mentioned, I believe it was Raleigh, towards the very end, towards the finals, we had a lot of people there and we're just waiting around. And I told the sound guy in the back, hey, can we play Gangnam Style in the crowd, but not over the stream because of music laws and whatnot? He's like, yeah, we can do that, sure. And so I came out there, and you could see me on the camera, but you couldn't hear me on the mic. And I said, hey guys, we want you to get really pumped up, and I wanted to hear you as loud as you can get in 3, 2, 1, and they started getting really loud and cheering. And I told the guy, when I count down, start playing Gangnam Style. So when people heard the music after I counted down, they're like, no way, they're doing Gangnam Style. And we started dancing and throwing shirts out. I told all the refs and the admins to help me out. It was great, man, because it rewards people for being there. And they're so excited and energetic for having that much fun with just one guy with a microphone that they're going to be super energetic for the players and super energetic for the matches themselves. It's like any good MC. You are there to make the production better and to make sure the audience has a good time. Commenting on other hosts, they have their own styles. But honestly, man, when it comes to hyping up a crowd, I haven't seen anyone match what I can do. I know that sounds a little bit arrogant, but it's kind of the truth. And that's one of the things that I'm really, really proud of. And they also comment on my interview skills. But it's not something I can sit here and practice all the time. And that's the thing that's difficult. You know, In Control, Anna, DJ Wheat, they can't go to a gym and practice how to host. We think of ideas, we try to implement them beforehand with our production staff, and then we do them. We don't really have time to rehearse. The only thing we're rehearsing is where the camera is. So it's one of those positions that the more you do it in a live setting, the better you get. And you try different things, you see what works and what doesn't. I mean, my tagline, my catchphrase, "Are you ready?" I just thought, what is one thing I can say to see if the audience is ready? Why don't I just ask them directly? And then it became a thing, and people know me for that as well. So I was able to build my own image, my own kind of product with that by trying things out and going with it. And I respect the other hosts out there. I think some of them do a pretty good job. They are entertaining. But when it comes to hyping a crowd, man, there's only one clutch.
So, you know, in addition to all the live event stuff that you do, you know, you have your own show that you do, Shifting Gears. You know, you've done the Pulse, and some other stuff like that. How different is the experience for a live event versus, you know, kind of a scripted show? And do you have a preference for doing one over the other?
And types of a live event or the different shows?
Live event versus show.
Okay. Well, Shifting Gears, I've done over 70 episodes, and I look back and think about that. Wow, that's a lot. And it started actually as a show that was going to cover Diablo 3 because we saw so much potential in PvP from Diablo 3. I thought, okay, I can put my foot in this market first before anyone else. I already have connections in the esports world to make this a PvP esport type game. Fortunately, Blizzard fizzled on that game. It wasn't what it should have been. We still have no PvP, and this patch that just came out completely crashed their market. So they're having a lot of issues with that game. I don't know if it'll ever recover. The only way it will is if they have PvP in it. Come on, Blizzard. So I was focusing on that, and there was a lot of things in pop culture that I really liked and wanted to comment on. Movies, how to tell stories properly in video games, the evolution of video games, the evolution of different games like Battlefield and that series. And there's just more and more things that I wanted to talk about that I felt maybe some people were on cable television but not on the internet. So I started the show, and it started to evolve into more of a talk show with different individuals from League of Legends, from StarCraft. Wigan was one of my co-hosts on there for a long time. And then I started to see a lot of different shows crop up talking about the same thing. The State of the Game had been there a little bit before Shifting Gears had started, and Live on 3 had been on there for a while talking about different things. But I kind of encompassed a lot of different things to talk about with different guests. And I got to interview people like Kennegat and Chef and Smix and different individuals that I had met at these events that I felt some people weren't asking specific questions, or I would love to have asked them in a live setting, but they were too personal, not personal as like sensitive, but personal as in the answer would be a long answer, or it would take them a long time to explain rather than quick sound bites. So that's how the show progressed. And I started to get kind of really busy in other avenues of my life with school, and so I wasn't able to plan as much script-wise. So it became more of a game. Hey, let's check out this game. Let's check out that game. What's this game like? And when I got hired by NASL and we started doing so much content around StarCraft that Shifting Gears was still there and we were still checking out different games, but I couldn't put as much emphasis into it. Some episodes I could, but also sometimes I had to be careful on who or what I was criticizing because it'd be biting the hand that feeds me. Not NASL in particular, but maybe something about Blizzard or something about StarCraft or something about a certain player. And it was a little bit frustrating sometimes because I think, I really want to say this, but if I do, it's going to either paint that person in a really bad light, that it's going to hurt them, or it's going to fracture some bridges that I've built in the industry. And esports is still a small, fragile industry, so I wasn't prepared to throw anything away or any relationships away. It could have been a simple Skype conversation I have with somebody, or Skype contact I have with somebody, and I say something about them that could be true at the time, but maybe a little bit too harsh, and then it would destroy that relationship. So with any type of media and the outlet of the internet, you have to be a little bit crafty and wise on what you say if you're so attached to the industry. So then we did the Pulse, and the Pulse just was huge. Everybody loved it. It blew everything out of the water production-wise. So other shows like The Good Studio, which I respect, they had to up their production, which they have. And we really enjoyed doing that. But I had spent so much time doing research and opinion-based research on team houses and this and that and this and that, that Shifting Gears just was put on the back burner. And I really enjoyed doing those shows because there was really a need for it to have that type of production and to show different individuals and different entities in the space that there was something like that could exist. And a lot of people were really impressed by it. So impressed that when we did an episode where it was a little bit more of a relaxed episode, a little more of a casual episode, people were like, whoa, what is this? What is this? They were like, this is not the Pulse I know. And people were so jazzed up about it that we thought, wow, we have a great show. It's kind of a social experiment. Well, wow, we have a great show here that if we don't put as much into it as we did in the previous week, people completely notice. And that's not just me. That's everyone that's been involved. And also when we have a team of editors that are able to put things together that look fantastic, that's how we're able to have something called the Pulse. Now, so I've described those experiences. I can give you a proper judgment of what it's like between a live setting and those show settings. If I had to choose one or the other, I would choose a live show. I would love to have a studio audience for those shows. I'd love to be the Conan O'Brien of video gaming. That would be great to have a talk show, and have different guests. My show Up to Speed, which was part of the Pulse and then became its own show for a couple episodes. The LucasArts episode is one of my favorites because I had a gentleman from 2K Gaming come on and comment. I had Naughty Dog send me a comment in. So I had different people of the respected video game development community wanting to be on my show, and they wanted to have a voice. And that's something I'm going to explore more with Shifting Gears, because right now at NASL, we got some big projects that we're working on right now, and they're about to land. I wish I could tell you more. I would give you some exclusives, but I can't right now. My hands are tied with so many NDAs. So we really enjoyed the Pulse, and we'll have some more content coming out here pretty soon. But it allowed me to explore a lot of things that I really enjoyed in a studio setting. There's a lot of things you can do, but that live setting, man, that having that crowd get so pumped up to be on stage, two players are about to duke it out head to head in a best of 3, and I get to ask the audience, are you ready? And to hear their reaction. Nothing beats that. Nothing beats that. And the sheer amount of joy on people's faces to be there and to see their favorite players and have such a good time is fantastic. There's a need for both. I feel there's a need for even better coverage show-wise with better production. And I'm glad that I could provide a format for a lot of different video game developers to have a voice that is going to continue. But I am just one guy, just one man. So it's a little bit difficult to have that much production value on Shifting Gears. But Shifting Gears will have an announcement here pretty soon that I'm pretty excited about. It's going to be involved with a certain network, and that's all I can say for now. So that's my overall answer, man. Live, of course, but both the types of shows I feel are important.
Cool. So there's, as you pointed out, there's a billion different shows out there. There's lots of people streaming all the time. You're on one right now.
I am.
So there's all these people trying to break into the scene, whether it be commentating or hosting or casting or things like that. Really, people who want to be in front of the camera and want to be personalities. As someone who has been pretty successful at this, do you have any advice or tips for these guys?
First of all, you have to believe in yourself. And I don't mean to sound cheesy or idealistic, but you have to envision yourself in front of a camera doing this. When I was at these MLG events and I was in jeans and a tucked in MLG shirt and a walkie-talkie in my belt and an earpiece and moving around everywhere, I still visualized myself on stage. I visualized myself doing what JP was doing what the other hosts were doing, and doing a better job in mine. It's like, I could do that, but I know I could do it better. And to be able to prove myself when the opportunity came, and since I believed in myself and I had the proper schooling and tools, that I was able to do my best and get better and better and better at it. So first off, you have to visualize yourself doing it realistically. Second of all, you have to put in the work. And that means learning how to orchestrate your voice well enough, learning how to modulate your voice so you don't blow it out at these events. And even if it's just uploading a video on YouTube of you commentating a game that you played, do it. Nothing is stopping you. Just do it. Yes, there are a lot of people trying to do the same thing you are. But to me, as an actor, I've been used to that for a long time. You have to do your best, and you have to stand out a little bit in some way, be it more comedy, be it a little different style of how you do your videos, but something that pops out to people that they enjoy. And, you know, in esports, in the acting world, that's something that pops out to people, like competitive video game stuff. You host those events, like, yeah, here's my reel, and I show them a reel, and you see me in front of thousands in Anaheim, California, so all these people cheering, and they go, whoa, this looks legit. So if you're able to create a YouTube channel of you commentating games and you sound legit and the production looks legit, you could be legit. When it comes to hosting, that's really hard because that's there's not a lot of, you know, like amateur type tournaments out there. But if there is, get involved. Say, hey, I'd love to host your tournament, even if it's just naming off raffle tickets. That is how you get your foot in the door with different people. And the more you're able to practice smaller things, the better you are able to get at the bigger things. When it comes to networking, you have to go to the events physically. You have to. And you have to strike up conversations with people that are trying to do the same thing you are, of course, to get connections with them, to see if you can build something better together. And if you can, talk to other individuals there and say, you know, hey, Clutch, hey, Day 9, I'm sure you're a busy guy, but I'm working on a YouTube channel, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. Here's my card. If you ever have a chance to check it out, please do so. And that's it. Don't harass them. Just be really nice and cordial. Say, hey, I'm working on something. I'd love if you could check it out. And I've had many people come to me and say, hey, can you retweet this? Can you check this out? And 80% of the time I'll say, sure, man, of course, I will check it out. The other 20%, it's you either ask me at a bad time, I'm really busy, and it doesn't come back to me, or I look at it and I'm like, it's not that good. And I will try to tell them, hey, here's how you can improve, here's how you can do better, but I can't really endorse this because I think you can do something better. Once you can do that, then I can say, hey, guys, check this out. So a very specific example, I'll bring up the Beta Caster program. Lee Chen came to me and Wigan, and he said, hey, what if we started this program where we had different commentators that wanted to break into the scene, be able to commentate replays for MLG? And what if those replays could be accessible to gold members or stream accessible to gold members? And we were bouncing around ideas, and we thought, yeah, it's a good idea because it gets more of the games commentated to the public that they can't see unless they're physically there at the event and are put, you know, into the archives of history that people can check out. And it allows for commentators to break into the scene. So I sent out some tweets. MLG sent out some tweets, and they said, hey, if you guys are interested in commentating replays of the last MLG, be sure to contact Clutch, or be sure to contact Lee Chen. Boom! Just emails everywhere of all these people. And I'll name some names that are famous now. Frodan, Axel Toss, Wombat at the time, who does a lot of League of Legends stuff, Ian Shiniko, we had Duckville LOL, a long list of people that were Tumba of all people, who's now has a successful company, esports management group that represents me and other fine individuals like Tasos and Artosis and White Rock, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Amazing. You know, he was one of the guys that wanted to commentate. So I had all these people come in, and we started working together and divvying out replays, and I went through thousands. I felt like thousands of replays and hundreds of videos uploaded in different languages. It was a lot. And I was an intern at the time, so I didn't get paid anything for this, but I wanted to do it. And it counted as an internship. And plus, it was an opportunity for more of these commentators to get exposed. So that program I was really, really happy to be a part of. And we were able to find people like Axel Toss, like Froyan, like Tumba, and others. Unfortunately, it fizzled out, and it just kind of disappeared, and I don't know if they're ever going to bring it back because they have a whole completely different format now. There's no real open bracket. But it was that opportunity that those individuals jumped on to be a part of something, and now they've been able to build careers out of it. So overall, they're like, yeah, Clutch, that was great back then. What about now? Well, windows are really important when it comes to timing, and they were able to hit those windows perfectly, and with a little bit of luck, they were able to land where they are. You have to look for those windows. Another window hit when Heart of the Swarm came out because a lot of people were really into it. Of course, with established commentators and talent, they really want to go with them. But people have built themselves out as well by going to events and saying, hey, I'll commentate for free, like Jorisar. He flew all the way out to an MLG event and commentated, and then he started to do Dream Hacks and other events, so he was able to build a name for himself as well. It takes hard work, it takes hustle, a little bit of luck, and somebody else in a position of power or decision-making that believes in you, that sees something in you. That's how you get established in the scene. And if you aren't able to get into what you want to do, like as a commentator or an editor, see if you can help out as an admin. And you're going to have to put some volunteer times in, guys, because everyone has to pay their dues. But get involved to where you can start having conversations with key people and then show them your work. That's how it happens. So that's the advice I can give.
It's awesome, and it's funny. I had forgotten all about the beta caster thing.
I know, I miss it, man.
Well, but it's funny because you mentioned Duckville, and he participated in the After Hours Gaming League equivalent. He did our So You Think You Can Cast contest. And he did really well.
Exactly. He's always been a friend of mine ever since. We got to form some friendships. We keep telling him we got to fly you out to an event, man. A lot of us are going to be going to MLG Anaheim. And I told him I'll buy him drinks when we're there. But it was a brotherhood. We were all, it was the Wild West. We were all trying to find ourselves and make a career out of this or something out of this. And some people did, and some people went some different ways or went to some different games. But to me, it was a lot of fun and made a lot of good friendships because of it.
So do you still see yourself being as active in the community as you are now in the next 5 or even 10 years?
I do. With my acting career, it might be a little bit difficult time-wise to watch. I can't watch as much stuff because I'm busy working on other things. And there's so much out there with the LCS, the WCS, the different Dota leagues, the World of Tanks leagues happening, that it's tough for any new game to be added into kind of my scope of what's happening. And Twitch is fantastic because all of it happens there, but there needs to be an epicenter for a lot of that. Game Center is trying. The Pulse, we were doing a good job on that, but we cover so much StarCraft stuff that it's hard to cover the other games. And I look forward to seeing what evolves out of that to catch the highlights every week of these are the storylines you need to be following. And as the leagues evolve more and more, those threads will get tighter and tighter, and hopefully more money will be attached to those threads from major sponsors. I'm not talking about energy drinks, which I'm very appreciative to different energy drinks for sponsoring different teams and individuals. I'm talking about cars. Man, can you imagine Ford, Hyundai, those different cars getting involved in esports? Alcohol. I mean, say what you will of alcohol in the scene of video games and kids and whatnot, but that's a lot of money there. It's kind of weird to think if Budweiser would sponsor someone in esports, but hey, I mean, it's a possibility. Different types of corporations getting involved. Then becomes a corporate war. We have GE versus Home Depot when it comes to who's up there with money and sponsorships, and that's how the scene grows. So 5 to 10 years from now, hopefully we'll be at that type of money on the line and interwoven storylines and region locks, hopefully, to build local scenes. And that's another thing that's really going to have to keep this professional scene alive, is a physical location where teams are, or amateur teams are, be it San Francisco, be it Southern California for the United States. We already know it's in either Cologne or Sweden for Europe, and it is South Korea for Korea. But having a physical location and more physical events means more and brings better revenue and more of an emotional, physical connection to these leagues. That's why they still have stadiums with thousands of people for football and baseball and hockey, because going to those live games means so much more than watching it on TV. It's great to watch it on TV. You get to have some friends over, watch it, have a good time, and it's that social interaction that makes sports such a lucrative entertainment. And esports needs to have, in my opinion, more offline, land, physical events for that to grow. I mean, there is an arena being built in Southern California, the esports arena. I feel that's going to be hopefully a very good centralized location in Southern California for more physical events, man. I definitely see myself involved 5 to 10 years from now. I see myself having a couple Oscars under my belt within that time. But I will never forget my roots when it comes to entertainment, and being on stage, be it in a play or as a host, is so much fun. It's so much fun to get that crowd hyped up and to go out and dance with the crowd. Yeah. I have a lot of high hopes for this scene as more and more individuals get involved, and I continue to look forward to being involved in it. You know, geez, 5 years from now, think of the technology that's going to be around in 5 years, man. It's nuts. 2 years ago, what phones were like compared to today. So anything's possible.
So all that's left is my big question. This is the last real question. It's also the one that I will completely understand if your response is simply no comment.
All right.
So MLG obviously took a lot of heat over WCS with how that first the qualifiers went. You know, with the allegations of, you know, hackers in the league and, you know, weird disqualifications for people from, you know, the Chinese players and stuff like that. How do you feel about how they handled that? Did the community just bust out the pitchforks a little fast, or like was that deserved?
Well, this community with the anonymous comments that you can make is always lukewarm, hot, or cold on certain issues within seconds of each other. So was it warranted? Of course. This was the biggest thing to happen to StarCraft, the premier league for North America. But it's not all of MLG's fault. It's also Blizzard's fault. And I felt it was completely warranted from the community, the response. Now, to come out and say some mean, horrendous things, of course not. But to say you screwed up is completely justified for what happened. I need to completely break this down, though, so we're going to take a couple steps back here to what is the WCS and why we expect so much things out of it. The WCS in 2012, to me, was a success, except for China, which was Blizzard's fault, because they went with the cheapest production possible. And this is going to be a recurring thing with Blizzard, all right? I'm going to hold some things back here, but I'm going to try to be as honest as I can here. And I respect Blizzard. I love a lot of people that work there, like family. But because I love them, I'm going to point out some serious mistakes they're making. So with WCS 2013, this is this huge event. This is the Blizzard answer to LCS from Riot. This is the StarCraft League that will connect all the threads, all the stories, all the hard work that so many people have been involved in for this scene for numerous years connected together. And we were excited about this because there were some issues in 2012 with oversaturation and viewer fatigue. A couple of people on Twitter recently were like, there's not such thing. Yes, there is. Too much of a good thing can be bad. And if you have so much StarCraft happening, the audience is going to get fatigued. They're going to get tired of it. They're not going to be that invested in a finals when it's like, dude, I don't even know what's happening. I don't even know what they're playing for. Blizzard wanted to address that, and thankfully so. We had some discussion. I even brought this up on Live on 3 months ago, maybe half a year ago, about a centralized governing body. If that needed to happen to help these different leagues not schedule over each other, to have better scheduling for the players so they didn't have to travel as much, which was hurting some of them. I mean, Huck's schedule for 2012, holy crap, dude. That guy was all over the place. And I brought up, does it need to be Blizzard? And they're like, well, maybe. And I said, well, maybe it should be Blizzard because they're the ones that can kind of do it in a neutral setting. It's their game. They want to get the best out of it. They're not going to be trying to put themselves ahead of another league per se for viewership or audience or locking down players, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when we had heard some rumors about it, and also I knew about this for a while, I was under NDA of what was happening, we were excited. But the way it was executed was really poor. And I put 90% of the blame on Blizzard, but there's some other factors there that they were trying to make sure everyone was happy. I can understand that. What I don't understand, and somebody from Blizzard reached out to me and asked me, hey, if you have any questions, I'll hunt down the answers. And I said, okay, here are my first two questions. One, how much time did MLG and ESL have since the contracts were signed for them to organize these leagues? And two, why were 0 team managers and players involved in WCS planning? And his response was, you're not going to get any satisfying answers. And I told him, you're right, I'm not satisfied. Now, take a step back, okay? I say this with respect because I want this to succeed. I want this to be a great thing. I want this to be the answer to Riot's LCS. I want this to do better than the LCS, all right? Because as much as I love League of Legends and Dota 2 and Smite, StarCraft to me is a fantastic game, and my career has been invested in that game more than any other game as of right now, or at least as of the past. So when it comes to this, it kind of hurts, man, that we've been building up to something great, and then this happens, and it's a mess. It is a mess. They can't decide what's happening with the region locks. Team managers are trying to talk to other team managers to pull all their information together. It was really, really rushed, and it was on a very shaky foundation. I had to call my parents and explain to them, hey, remember that thing I was really excited about, that WCS thing, that World Championship Series? Well, the people that are going to represent America are actually Koreans living in Korea, and just didn't make any sense. How do you explain that to somebody? How do you explain that storyline to a new player? How do you have one storyline thread with no region lock? So to me, it was just a disaster. It was really, really tough to wrap my head around. And I know there's going to be growing pains. I know there's going to be. We all recognize that. And I recognize that Blizzard is trying to do something great. But right now, this is my opinion, okay? Blizzard's hands are tied. The individuals there, one, because they're a really slow company. They are not an agile company. Kevin Johnson came out and said that. So those are his words, not mine, but it's true. They take forever to make a decision. And two, they have no microtransactions. They have no income other than buying the game itself to bring in revenue. So what is the market value of doing esports if nobody's buying the game, if everyone that wants the game has already bought it? There needs to be, in my opinion, a microtransaction revenue share between teams, players, and Blizzard. For example, your little picture that you have when you play the game, I want mine to be MMA. So I buy an MMA portrait for $4. $3 goes to Blizzard, $1 goes to MMA, or $2 goes to Blizzard, $1 goes to Acer, $1 goes to MMA. However you want to break it down. Dude, MMA's getting money, Acer's getting money, Blizzard's getting money. Everyone's getting money. Everyone is getting an outside source of performance in esports to make a living. That is how teams survive. Could you imagine what it'd be like in baseball if the only way you got paid was to make the top 8? There'd be only 8 teams, you know? Baseball would be over. The same for NFL, the same for soccer. They live off merchandising, off deals, off ticket sales, direct from the townspeople, the people that live in the city. So they have outside sources of income other than tournament results. And I feel that's what players need. That's what team needs. And Blizzard has the capability to do that because Dota 2 has the capability to do that. I think their ticket system, their banner system, their courier system, the item system, fantastic. It's awesome. And I think microtransactions would help. I'm not saying would generally fix, but would help some of the things when it comes to decisions Blizzard can make in esports. They have budgets. Blizzard has access to books and numbers that I don't. And so when I'm making these judgment calls, I have to take a step back and respect that they have to make decisions based off money. That's what makes the world go round, okay? But if you have these tools in front of you that you can implement that doesn't detract from the gameplay, that doesn't sully or reduce the name of Blizzard at all, it just helps out the entire scene, They need to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough road ahead. I am unsatisfied with the current WCS format. I'm unsatisfied with with MLG's online show. NASL had the best online content hands down with producing, with creative content. I think MLG can pull off some great things. I think they need to be more creative. I think they need player profiles. They need interviews. They need to have Axel Talks and ASLAV having fun on the town in New York City. Some things that are nice little breaks between the games that keeps you entertained, an entire entertainment package. And NASL had that for sure. We were the best when it came to online content. Or on an online league. So MLG needs to match that for an entertainment experience, especially if they have access to all the players. You know, you have access to all these players. Do interviews. Fly them out at the end of a season, the ones that didn't make it, and have some fun times. Create some cool videos that brings out the personality of these different players. So that too, you know, I was a little bit disheartened of, I have to explain to people, hey, here's this great league. You're going to have these same two commentators all 3 hours, and you're going to watch a lot of StarCraft matches, and that's it. I mean, if you're really into StarCraft and that's all you care about, that's great. But if you want an entertaining show and to know a little bit more about Edrush, know a little bit more about NST, you're not going to get that. And MLG really needs to step up their game there. So on those things, I was disappointed. But it's not like, oh, poo, it's never getting any better. I know it could get better, but it's taking too long for it to happen. So those are my overall feelings, with a couple reservations over the whole thing, man. If I get in trouble for saying this, so be it. I mean, if I don't say this, I don't care. That's how I feel. I have been in this for a long time, man. I moved out to Southern California, and my life kind of revolved around this for the last 3 years to make this a success. And when I see these decisions that are made that are not the best decisions, it really, really makes me upset. Also, 2014, of course, Blizzard's going to learn some things. These different leagues are going to learn some things. Hopefully it'll be better in 2014. But I hope for the best, but I have to take up what we have and say, listen, this part's not right. It needs to be better. I know you can do better. I know you can do better. I know that Blizzard can do better. The other leagues are doing better. I was watching the WCS today. It was a good show having Rotterdam on there with Axlav. But those are my thoughts overall, man. I know it's long-winded, and I've been kind of waiting a while to say something like that. I was waiting till my next Shifting Gears episode to really get down and dirty in this. But esports as a whole needs monetary sustainability outside of tournament results. That is the biggest thing right now. That's the biggest thing. But I'll definitely go to the WCS Season 1 finals, wherever it's at, and hopefully I can go to BlizzCon to see the finals for that too. So I'll definitely go and support it, but I'm still going to complain about it until it's fixed. So I'm happy about Suppy. Hopefully Suppy's able to represent North America. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But it's all growing pains. It's very transitional. We understand that. But it's better to do things right the first time than the second, third, fourth, fifth time.
So before I let you go, do you have any shout-outs, anything you want to say? You've got just a couple of minutes. You can go crazy, whatever you want.
Well, thanks for contacting me, to having me come on the show, because it is nice to be on the opposite end of the interview mic, being interviewed. And first thing I'd like to say, when it comes to the internet and the community, and I echo one of my personal champions when it comes to media, Conan O'Brien, don't be cynical. You can complain about something, you can address it, and you can find a solution to it or present a solution to it. But I feel that our community, especially our internet age and our generation, is really cynical all the time, overly cynical, instead of looking for solutions. And we see this in politics all the time, man. Left and right, Democrat, Republican, they go back and forth and bicker all the time instead of bringing up solutions. I invite people to bring up solutions to sorts of problems, and if not, create your own solution, just like Jenna Bain did for Shoutcraft America, which I'm so glad to be a part of as the intro announcer for all the players. Create a solution, and the people will flock to it if that's what they want. I would like to give a shout out to everyone that follows me on Twitter, all my fans that have always reached out to me and have commented. So nice. Sometimes us as talent, we're so open to see what people think of us that when we see a bad comment, we're like, oh man, that hurts. But then we see 30 nice comments over that one bad comment. And it just means the world to have an audience that is readily available to comment on everything you do. And 99% of them are nice and honest, and they love your work, and that's great. I also want to give a huge shout out to all the people at NASL, all the people at MLG, that we've made wonderful memories together. I look forward to making more and more. And for those of you that love my hosting, hopefully I can host some more events in the future. And I love to do it. And look forward to more Shifting Gears episodes coming out here pretty soon. We're working on this new announcement, guys. It's been in the works for a while. We are this close for it to come out, and I'm excited to have that show progress and more shows and content on the Hero Level Productions NASL side of things to progress, and for esports to continue to grow as my career continues to grow in the world of entertainment. And I'll see you guys in the Oscars in about 7 years. Give me about 7 years for my first Oscar. At least I'll be nominated for one, but I won't win, but then I'll win for the second one. That's a deal, okay? So follow me on Twitter, Clutch08, and thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been a blast.
Oh, thanks for coming on. Okay, guys, that was, once again, Clutch. Huge thanks to him for coming and being on the show last night. It was kind of crazy, but awesome, and said it was just such a pleasure having him on. He was a great guy to talk to. Nothing big planned yet for next week. I'm still working to nail down a guest, but failing that, I will give you all another wonderful, wonderful episode of StarCraft Exercises. So one way or another, we'll be sure that you get your content fix. If you are interested in being on the show, doing an interview, hit me up, shoot me an email, feedback@letskungfu.com. Otherwise, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, all that good stuff. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And that's pretty much it. I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time chatting tonight, guys, because that was kind of a long interview. So I will catch you all next week.